I'm doing this for God, and God gave me these resources to do this, then I'm going to show up. And we need whatever it is that you're bringing to the industry. We need you. Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kamande Esther. For those of you that have clicked on this link and it's your first time here, I would like to welcome you. Thank you so much for being here. If this is not your first time, thank you for clicking back and for showing up. And yeah, karibu sana. We are on episode 5 of season 2 of Mondays with Kamande, and I just thought of doing an update. Usually I do updates, but most people do life updates, and there's always and they're just trying to update you on what's been going on in their lives. But on this channel we do something I call the purpose update. So this is where we take a pause, and we take stock of what has been going on in our pursuit of whatever it is that God has called us to do. And I wanted to just come on here and share a few lessons or a few things that stood out for me as I took a pause, and I was taking stock in the previous week about my journey and about this thing that I'm doing called purpose, living life and fulfilling the assignment that God has over my life. And I just wanted to take you along that journey with me, and I hope that the lessons or the pointers that I share with you today as things or lessons that can help you and encourage you as well. Maybe when you do decide to just pause and take stock of what's been happening in your life or in whatever it is that you're doing in your life. And I brought notes. It's the first time I'm bringing notes on set, but I just wrote a few things down so that I can stay on course, and so that I can try and remain within the script or whatever it is that I was preparing today. The reason why I did a purpose update for myself, or for whatever it is that I'm doing or in my life, the reason behind, or the motivation behind this purpose update is sometimes when you're going through life, or when you're fulfilling and pursuing your dreams, and you're at work, you have these goals that you want to meet, you have this business that you're trying to run, you have these kids that you're trying to raise, you have relationships all around you, and there's a lot that is going on in your life, and it gets to a point where you start looking at what's working and what's not working, and you start comparing where you are with the things or the goals that you wanted to achieve before or within a specific time, or in a timeline, or within a time frame that you had set for yourself. And at times you look at the results of whatever it is that you're doing, and it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense, and you feel like closing shop. I don't know if you've ever been there, but I have been there quite some time now. Not now, but I've had similar experiences or similar moments or such moments in my life when I felt like closing shop. You look at what God has asked you to do. It could be maybe take this particular job, or work for this particular person, or start this business, or start a YouTube channel, or start a blog, or write this book, or whatever it is that God has asked you to do. And you look at the results, or you look at where you are, and you start feeling like, what, this is not working out, and you start feeling like it's not working out, and now the only thing that makes sense at that particular time is closing shop and just shutting everything down, and just moving on with your life. And I have wanted to close shop in so many areas of my life for so many times. The number of times I have sat down and told God, you know what, this is not working out, and I need to close shop, and let's just move on. And I kept convincing myself that if I do that, me wanting to close shop or me wanting to stop doing whatever it is that I'm doing at that particular time, it could be in my job, in my career, in content creation, whatever it is that I am doing, I have always convinced myself that no, you know what, it's not me giving up. I am not giving up. I'm not quitting. I'm just being realistic and being practical and looking at what is working and what is not working. The numbers speak for themselves. Where I come from in my career, wherever I am working, or in the industry that I'm working in, we say numbers don't lie. And the numbers can really predict the life of a business or the viability of a business opportunity. And so when I'm saying, or when I look at my life and I'm thinking about the results and looking at what's working and what's not working, and most times I'm always looking at what's not working, and I'm like, you know what, the numbers don't lie, so let's just look at the facts and the reality and what we're working with, and then let's just move on. Let's find something else to do. And countless times God has come back to me or clapped back and just highlighted certain truths that I need, or that I needed at that time and also right now, or certain truths that we ought to live with and remind ourselves and just have them engraved in our hearts, so that we don't give up on whatever it is that he has asked us to do. And the greatest question that God always asks me when I'm about to close shop, or when I'm about to give up, or when I'm about to quit and just walk away from whatever it is that he's asked me to do, is he's always asking me, okay, Kamande, you want to, step aside from whatever it is that I've asked you to do, but why are you walking away from it? Is it because you feel the pressure to do whatever it is that I've asked you to do? And if it's the pressure that you're feeling, why are you feeling that pressure? And most times I've just had to go back to God and tell him, I'm feeling this pressure and I'm feeling overwhelmed in whatever it is that you've asked me to do. And the realization from that vulnerable moment with God has always been, I'm trying to do things in my own might. I'm trying to do things and I'm depending on my own ability and the power within me. I'm not relying on him completely. I am not I've come to realize that he gives me a task to do, and I hit the ground running, but I forget he's the fuel behind the race. He's the wind beneath my wings. And many are the times that I have felt weary and felt tired and worn out and just so overwhelmed, and I've wanted to give up because my strength ran out. And when your strength runs out, you can't do anything and you can't sustain the vehicle or the assignment that God has called you to do. Anyway, my point is, the motivation or the reason behind, or the foundational or the core message behind today's video is just to relate with someone who's watching this, that feels like things are not working out, and things, whatever it is, whatever that thing is not working out, and you feel like closing shop, and you feel like giving up, and you feel like this is too much for me, I can't handle. I made this video just because of you, and I just wanted to encourage someone not to close shop. Please don't close shop. That's just the first message of this video. Just don't shut everything down. Don't give up on that book. Don't give up on that channel. Don't give up on that blog. Don't give up on that business. Don't give up on that marriage. Don't give up on those kids. Don't give up on anything that God has given to you to handle, because he trusted you enough to give you that task. My pastor always says that God loves us all in equal measure, but he trusts us. His trust to us is measured, is in different levels. The level at which God trusts me is different from the level at which God trusts you. And that trust grows when it grows with your obedience. It's dependent on your obedience to whatever it is that he asks you to do. It's dependent on so many factors. That's a video and a whole topic for another day, but I just wanted to share with you a few pointers that have kept me sane and alive as I was chasing, or as I'm chasing and pursuing my dreams and pursuing whatever it is, the assignment over my life. And I wanted to start with the first one. And the first point for me that has always kept me sane is remembering my why. Why did I start whatever it is that I'm doing? Why did I start a YouTube channel? Why did I start a blog? Why did I choose to work for this particular company? Why did I choose this particular person to be my friend? So the why, always assigning your why to your vision and to your purpose, will always keep you sane, will always keep you motivated, will always be the beacon that you always go back to try and find your way, to try and find to reroute. It's like you're rerouting when you focus on the why, or when you go back to the why. The Bible says in Habakkuk, I think chapter 2, God gives Habakkuk a vision and shows him a vision and tells him to write it down and make it plain. And I used to read that scripture, and I think it's just, just writing vaguely, or just writing the broad picture about whatever it is that God has shown you. But I'm realizing now that when God asks you to write a vision and to make it plain, he wants you to write the details. When he shows you a vision, he wants you to write down the mode you are in when you saw that vision, or the current state of mind that you're in, and the why. Why are you starting this, or why this vision? How are you going to do it? To whom are you going to? Who is your audience? To whom is the vision connected to? So writing down the why and knowing why you started something, it will always, and I believe that it will always be a factor that is going to keep you centered. It's going to, like when you're trying to, when you feel like you're so overwhelmed and you want to give up and you want to walk away, remembering why you started, it does something to your heart, it does something to your spirit, and you find that you're now back in alignment with whatever it is that you've been doing. So if it's your business, if you feel like closing shop, things are not working out, you feel overwhelmed, if it's a relationship, if it's a marriage, if it's your career, whatever it is that you're doing, always assign a why to it. When you assign a why to it, that why will keep you, it will sustain you. It's the fire, it's the, I don't know how to put this, but it's more like a cheerleader. It cheers you on in the entire course of whatever it is that you're doing. And your business could probably have a lifespan of 5 years. So within those 5 years, knowing why you started that business will sustain you through those 5 years, and maybe more and beyond. Okay. The second thing that I have learned, and the second thing that came up in this purpose update as I was taking stock, is, remember, I was telling myself it's okay to reinvent yourself. It's okay to get to a place and shift from how you used to do things in one season and doing things in a different season. And I'll explain that. In season 1 of Mondays with Kamande, I thought that whatever, or the content that I was creating at that time, was content centered around my life, centered around the experiences I had, experiences in my journey with God, and the things that I had gone through. I'm realizing now that in season 2 and in the current season that I'm in right now, the content that I'm creating is content geared towards or focused on things and experiences beyond my life as Kamande. In that, God is leading me to create content that is not primarily for me, but for other people, where I'll go through a week in my, like, let's say for instance, I'm preparing for this particular episode. I find myself creating or just being led by God to create content that is going to encourage someone else or inspire someone else that is going through a particular season that I am not going through. For instance, I might be talking about like waiting on God, like the episode we did, or I'm trying to get an example, the video we did the other time, the worship, the acoustic worship experience. I had no idea I could do that in this particular season or in this specific time of the season, but you find that you're doing it. And in short, what I'm trying to say, guys, is you end up doing things in a different way from how you used to do them in a previous season. And I'm learning that it's okay. It's okay to do that and to just make it make sense to you. You could be in a business and, like, for instance, the church. We are now in a season where we've seen church doing things in a different way. Our pastors are reaching out to us and preaching to us virtually. We have been in seasons where we've not been able to meet physically, and this is something, or this is a season that we've never experienced before, and now we are learning how to reinvent the wheel, or trying to come up with ways and different ways to do different things. And that's exactly what I've learned, that it's okay in your journey to fulfill purpose, or in your journey to fulfilling the assignment over your life. You're going to get to seasons where you'll have to be okay with doing things differently and doing things in a different way, and to rebrand yourself and to reintroduce yourself. Probably we used to know you as someone who just writes, but now you're in front of a camera, creating content in front of a camera. Or maybe you used to do things in front of a camera, but now you're writing, or you're a painter, or you're a banker, and now you're doing something completely different. It's okay, as long as God is leading you and as long as you're getting instructions from God. It's absolutely okay to do things in a different way. So don't be hard on yourself. Don't hold on to the version of you that used to do things in a certain way, and now you're trying to hold on to that person, you're trying to hold on to that season. It's okay. You can let go now, and you can start doing things in a completely new and different way. And it's absolutely okay. My third lesson that I've learned is that, just to couple it up with the previous point, that it's okay to be different. It's okay to do things differently. I'll give an example with YouTube. There are so many people doing YouTube. There are millions of people who have YouTube channels. And it's okay to do your content. It's okay to create your content in your own way and in your own different way. My mom encourages me most times, and she tells me, if all of us were doctors, then who would be cooking? If all of us were chefs, who would be teaching? If all of us were politicians, who would be preaching? If all of us were pastors, who would be the legislators in the country? I'm saying this and I'm giving this analogy to say that you could be in an industry where there are so many people doing, or in the industry that you're in, and chances of you closing shop because you think, there's so many people in this industry, there's so many people doing whatever it is that I'm doing, those chances are very high. And for you to remain on course and for you to remain focused, identify what difference you bring to the industry. Identify your it factor, then embrace it and be okay with it, because that it factor is what sets you apart. That it factor is what makes you stand out, and we need you to stand out. We don't want you to be part of the crowd. We need you to stand out, and we need whatever it is that you're bringing to the industry. We need you, and there's something that you're bringing that no one else can bring, and there's something that you're going to offer the industry that you're in that no one else can, and there's a way that you do it that no one else can do it. No one else can do it the way that you can do it, and that realization alone will sustain you in your journey, will sustain you in your life forever. Just identify whatever it is that makes you different, be okay with it, and own it, embrace it, and don't be shy, and don't feel the need to diminish it. Don't feel the need to hide it. Let it shine, let it shine. If you're an artist, and probably you're good at abstract paintings, then go for it. Bring that to the industry. Whatever makes you different is what God is, the special ingredient. It's the secret ingredient that God put in you that is going to make you stand out in your gift, in your purpose, in your life, and in whatever it is that God has called you to do. All right? Yes. Just to tie it up to the previous point, remember to own your purpose. Most times we like saying, oh, God asked me to do this, God asked me to start this, or God asked me to run this business, or to do this, or to be in this particular place, and we disassociate ourselves with whatever it is that God has called us to do, and we look at it as, this is God's thing. It's for sure it's God's thing, but you're also a part of it. The Bible calls us co-workers together with God. We are co-laborers together with God. When God gives you an assignment, there's a part He plays and there's a part that you play, and you can only play that part you can only give it 100% of yourself if you own it, if you embrace it, if you recognize and realize that this is my thing. This is not just something that God threw my way. This is my thing. This is our thing. It's yours and God's to do and to fulfill. So own it. Don't be embarrassed by whatever it is that God has given you to do. Don't shy away from it. Just because it's not working doesn't mean that God didn't give it to you. Just because it's not making an impact according to whatever it is that you had envisioned it would do, doesn't mean that it's not valuable. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have worth. For God to give you something to do, and this brings me to the next point, God trusts you so much. He trusted you with those children. He trusted you with that business idea. There are so many people in this world, and God just looked down and thought, she can do it, or he can do it. If I give this business idea to you, or if I give this business idea to this person, I know that they can do it. If God has entrusted you with a job, God could have given that job opportunity to so many other people, but He looked down and saw, you know what? I trust her enough. I trust her enough to represent me in that company. I trust her enough to do this in that company. I trust her enough to fulfill whatever it is that this company needs. I trust her to meet a need in that industry or in that company. And so when you don't own your purpose, and when you don't realize that there's a lot at stake in whatever it is that God has called you to do or asked you to do, walking away then becomes so easy, But when you have it at the back of your mind that God trusted me enough, God saw me as worthy enough to trust me with this, to trust me with this idea to write a book, to trust me with this idea to have a YouTube channel, to have a business, to be in this career or be in this industry. God believed in me so much that He gave me and trusted me with this. Then I have to make sure that His belief in me is not in vain. You get to a place and you're like, then I have to prove that He was right. I have to make sure that whatever it is that He placed on the table, whatever it is that He said and He believed in me to do, then I have to do it so that I can make Him proud, that I can please Him, and that He'll look down and say, you know what, that's a good and faithful servant. I trusted her to do this, and she's doing it, and she's killing it. All right. The next point, remember to have your own personal definition of what success is. We have been told what success should look like, what success is by society, by the world. And I just wanted to remind us that Scripture says, for my ways are not your ways, says the Lord, neither are your thoughts like mine, or my thoughts. And that portion of Scripture always rings in my head whenever I'm about to quit or give up, because God always reminds me, or He's always asking me about my own definition For instance, you look at what are the goals that you have for your career, but you're not meeting them. At the back of your head, you're not successful enough because of where you are, and it's because you're comparing where you are with the definition of success that society has given you. Society might say that if you're a certain age and you're not driving, or you're not doing this, or you're not doing that, then you're not successful. But God defines success in a different way, and however way he describes success is not the same as how society describes or defines success. And you need to get to a place where, for whatever it is that you're doing in your life, define what success is to you. Define what having an impact in whatever it is that you're doing, what does that mean to you? Because if you can come up with your own definition, and I pray that your definition is going to be in line with what God defines success to be, if you hold, and if that is the foundational definition of success to you, then you won't have, and you won't feel the pressure to let go or to quit, because how you describe or how you define success for you, then you get to measure whether you've achieved that level of success or not. You could probably be looking at your business and you're thinking, well, I'm not successful because I'm not making sales, or my turnovers are very poor and very low compared to what society says success should be in the business world. But according to God, you have started a business, you've employed people, you're impacting lives and livelihoods, and providing and being a resource that God is using to provide for these people. So if that for you is not what success is, then you will always look at your business and think, oh well, I'm just a failure. But to God, according to God, you're making an impact, and you're fulfilling his wishes, and you're fulfilling whatever it is that he wanted you to fulfill, to achieve. But because you're not looking at it from his perspective, then you end up defining and feeling like a failure, because you're looking at success, and you're looking at your business and looking at your projects and looking at your purpose from someone else's lenses or from society's lenses. So always remember to, and I pray and I want to challenge you to just write down what is being successful to you. What does that mean to you, and how does that look to you? Then from there, measure and look at how you've been living your life and how you've been pursuing your purpose, and look at whether you're in line with whatever definition that you've written down. Okay. Remember to guard your relationship with God. This is, I think, my 7th point. Remember to guard your relationship with God. Don't be focused so much on your assignment and your purpose that you start neglecting your relationship with God. He is a very jealous God, that's for sure, and he's also your father. He is your father first before your master. And by that I mean, he is first your father, he's first your dad, he's your friend first. Then there's what he asks you to do. So don't neglect your position, the first position, just because you want to fulfill the second command that he's given you. For instance, he could have asked you to start a business, the examples I'm giving. Just because he's asked you to start a business, don't focus on the business so much that you forget to have fellowship with God. Always develop your relationship, have a culture, be disciplined enough, not disciplined, but rather focus so much, be intentional with your relationship with God, such that your relationship with him is still growing in as much as you're fulfilling whatever it is that he's asked you to do. You're running a business, but your relationship with God is still intact. You're creating content and your relationship with God is still intact. You're in a marriage, but you've not lost your relationship with God. God desires your heart more than whatever it is that you're doing. He would rather have your heart than you fulfilling whatever it is that he's asked you to do. If you fulfilling the assignment he has for your life is going to take your heart away from him, he would rather you don't. He would rather you just remain without any job, without any assignment in your life, as long as he has your heart. Remember, he gave his only son because he wanted to have our hearts. So why would he give you an assignment and then allow that assignment to take you away from him? So guard your heart, guard your relationship with God. Another reason why you need to guard your relationship with God is because he is the source of whatever it is that you're doing. He is the origin of whatever it is that you're doing. So if you let go, or if you allow the assignment to take you away from him, then you've cut the cycle, you've cut the circuit is not complete, because he's the origin, he's the beginning of whatever it is that you're doing. You get your sustenance from him. He sustains whatever it is that you're doing. So if you cut short your relationship with him, it's like you've cut short the source of the water that you need to water it, whatever it is that you're doing. So guard your relationship with him, have fellowship with him, be protective of that relationship, be protective of the time that you spend with God, and be intentional with him. Look for him, study his word, find out what he means when he says certain things in the Bible. Spend time with him. He is your father. He is going to give you the next instruction for whatever it is that you're doing. The wisdom you need to sustain your business, the wisdom that you need to sustain your career, to sustain your marriage, to sustain whatever it is that you're doing, is hidden in God. So you need to search him out to get that to get that wisdom. And that can only happen if you have fellowship with him, and if you're protective and intentional with your relationship with him. So that should be point number 1. Protect your relationship with God. All right. Be consistent. Remember to always be consistent. I know sometimes when you're doing things, you feel like, why do I even bother to do this? Why am I here? I'll give you a secret. Whenever I'm on set and I'm shooting the videos, I ask myself this question so many times. I think my producers are just tired of me. I'm always asking myself, why am I doing this? And why am I even here? I'm always wondering, does this even matter? And every time I ask myself that question, I'm always reminded that yes, it matters. There's a YouTube video I was watching by a lady called Wamboi, and she was saying your ministry matters. Whatever it is that you're doing, it matters. It matters that you show up. It matters that you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, and you need to keep doing it because it matters. It may not matter to a million people, but to that one person it matters. And whether you have that one person or not, it matters to God. It matters that you've obeyed to start that business, you've obeyed to be where you are, you've obeyed to do whatever it is that you're doing, and you need to be consistent in it. Whether things are working out, whether things are rosy, whether it's a walk in the park, whether you're going through the valley of the shadow of death, whether you're at the top of the mountain, whether you're in the valley, whether you're sinking, whether you're in a whale like Jonah, wherever you are, in whatever state of mind you are in, however you're feeling, always just be consistent. Show up. Keep opening that business. Whether you're making sales or not, open that business. Open shop. Just show up for that business. Show up in that marriage. Show up in that friendship. Show up in that career. Show up in your job. Just show up and have the right attitude. There are so many people who would want to have whatever it is that you have, but they don't, and you do. So you show up with a posture of gratitude. Your heart remains grateful. You show up with that realization that man, that I'm doing this for God, and God gave me these resources to do this, then I'm going to show up. So you keep showing up, whether it's working out, whether it's not working out, whether it's working out at 75%, at 57%, you keep showing up. You show up and you give your best. My pastor says that whether we come to church 2 people, or whether we come to church 100, whether we are 100, whether we are 1,000 or 5,000, he's going to preach the same way. The same way he would preach to 1,000 people is the same way he's going to preach to the 2 people that have showed up. And that's a huge lesson that I've always carried with me, to always show up and to always be excellent in whatever it is that I'm doing, whether it's working out or whether it's not. And if you remain consistent, the results definitely, and the fruits are going to show, and you will see the results at the end of the day, and you will be glad you remained consistent. Finally, almost finally, Guard your authenticity, and this is tied to you being different. There are many times we look at whatever it is that we're doing, and because it's not working out, you start thinking of other ways to be creative and to be crafty and how to bring to yourself the kind of impact that you're looking for. Let's say, for instance, you have a YouTube channel and you've been creating content in this particular line, but now when you look at it, because society says if you don't have this many views or if you don't have this many likes, let's say even on Instagram or on Facebook, and you don't have this many likes on your pictures and you don't have this many views on whatever it is that you've posted, now you start thinking, then maybe I should post pictures that I look in a certain way, I should do this in a certain way. And the question is, are you doing it, do you want to do it differently because God has asked you to do it, or because God has led you to do it, or do you want to do it differently because you're looking for the numbers and the impact from people? And you will find that most times we want to change how we're doing things, and we want to change and we want to suppress our originality, our authenticity, to please other people and to please people and to get the views and get the likes. And God was like, no, don't change the core message that I gave you. Don't change things, and don't be creative, don't be crafty because you're looking for success, or you're looking for an impact, or to have this great influence or this followership. Don't change to get that. Remain authentic, remain true to whatever it is that you're doing, remain original. You're an original you. It doesn't make sense that you would rather remain a small, you'd rather have how do I put this, you'd rather have impact that is not that big as the original you than have great impact as a copycat of someone else. God invested in you, and God made you the way you are for a reason and for a purpose. He was not stupid when he made you you. God was not fooling around when he created you as you. He was not crazy to make you you and to create you in a unique way. So don't try to be someone else and lose your authenticity just because you want to be liked more or you want to please people. Just don't. Just remain authentic and remain original. Walk in integrity, and integrity is something that no one can ever take away from you. And your integrity comes from a place of authenticity if you are authentic with who you are. Okay? And the last point is you are already approved. You don't need to prove a point. You don't need to do things in a specific way to please people. You have no one to please. You don't have to please anyone. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone. You have been approved by God. When God looked at you and gave you that assignment, he approved you. He announced you. He put his mark on you. You've been marked by his love. You've been marked with his favor. He has favored you. He has given you and provided all the resources that you'll ever need to fulfill whatever it is that he asked you to do. You are approved. And that's it. No one can disapprove you when God approves you. And there is no way the devil or anyone else can take away what your gift or your purpose from you if God has given it to you. If God asked you to start that business, then no one can take that business away from you. So you don't need to do things. You don't need to find ways to prove yourself. You have already been approved by God. And when you understand and you have that at the back of your head, of your mind, that you have been approved by God, that I am approved of God. Whatever it is that I do has the backing of God. Like, God backs you up. He backs up whatever it is that you're doing. When you have that at the back of your mind, it's so easy to stay on course. It's so easy to keep fulfilling whatever it is that God has asked you to do, because you end up realizing that you're good, that you're set, that you don't need anyone's yes or anyone's approval. You don't need anyone's validation, because God has already done that. And if whatever it is that you're doing came from God, if it was an instruction from God, trust me that God has a way of validating it. He will validate whatever it is that you're doing. It could be either through results, the results that you bring forth. It could be through the impact that you have in people. But God is always going to validate and approve and show you off in His own way. So trust in Him. Okay, I hope that encourages you. I hope you've taken notes, or maybe not, but I hope you've taken notes. If you haven't taken notes, just watch this video again and then now start taking notes. But I'm kidding. I hope that encourages you. I hope that inspires you, and I hope that triggers and charges you up to keep pursuing your purpose, to keep fulfilling your assignment, to just go hard for whatever it is that God has asked you to do, man. Just fight for it. Own it. Just own whatever it is that God has called you to do, and fight for it. Fight the negativity in your head. Fight the negativity from people. Fight the opinions of people. Just fight for whatever it is that God has called you to do. Just embrace it. Fight for it and just go for it. And just don't give up. Don't give up. Don't close shop on whatever it is that you're doing. Don't quit on your job. Don't quit on creating content if you're a content creator. Don't give up on your friends. If they're friends that God has brought in your life, don't give up on them. Find ways to make those relationships work. Find ways and ask God to give you ideas and to give you the wisdom that you need to make whatever it is that you're doing work. That was my purpose update. I can't wait to see or hear testimonies of you guys when you do take stock of your purpose and you're fulfilling your purpose. And I pray that you won't give up. I'm rooting for you. If there's no one else rooting for you, just know God is rooting for you, and Kamande is rooting for you. I am rooting for you, and I'm here to inspire your heart back to God, one video at a time. Thank you for watching this video. If you haven't watched the other videos in this season, please click on the links below. There's so many other videos that can motivate you and just charge you up. And don't forget to share this video with anyone that you know could benefit from this video, or anyone that you know needs to listen to this and needs to be reminded not to give up. Please share with them as widely as you can, and don't forget to subscribe. I will see you in my next video, and until then, bye.